Well, on behalf of Pastors Andre and Jenny Raybert, welcome to another powerful, exciting episode of Behind the Faith. And of course, I'm not on my own. I'm here with my beautiful wife. She's back again from maternity, spending lots of time with baby. But babe, good to have you back. And we're excited to be with you in your homes all around the world.
Yes, it's so good to be back with each and every one of you. And finally, you're not on your own, hey?
In fact, Bande and Tando were really such a great help to me. I mean, I tell you, there were times when I'd slip up, I'd forget something, and they'd quickly just give me a nudge in the ribs and get me back in order. But hey, we're so blessed to be back again with you, and very, very excited for another exciting episode. It's the year of double, 2022, the year of double.
Yes, and we hope, we pray, we declare that you will experience your year of double as you get into the Word of God and obey it completely. Speaking about being obedient, why don't you go ahead, download Faith now, get into our Faith Daily Devotions every single day and see the double manifest in your life.
See the double manifest in your life. It was Brother Kenneth Copeland that prophesied as well, that in 2022, you will know what to do. And you know, as a network, we are so blessed to be able to come into your homes and reach globally all around the nations of the world. And that's why we want to encourage you to download Faith now. Be a part of what God is doing. You know, email us, partner@myfaithtv.com. Get the Faith Dailies daily. Get your daily dose of faith. Because I tell you what, you want your faith to be energized, that when you see the miraculous, when you see the supernatural power of God, when you see the double be made manifest, you know exactly who to attribute it to. All glory goes to God.
Come on. And on that note, Bande had an awesome chat with Pastors John and Joy Torrance from DCC. You want to check this out.
Well, I'm joined today by two incredible individuals, Pastor John and Joy Torrance, all the way from the city, as I always mention it, that only has two seasons, summer and summer. That's from the beautiful KwaZulu-Natal province, right there in Durban, at the Durban Christian Center, the Jesus Dome. Welcome, Pastor John. Welcome, Pastor Joy.
Thank you so much, Pastor Bande. Great to be with you guys. And of course, yeah, we are in Durban. It's the place where God lives.
That's right.
And then he visits occasionally elsewhere, but great to be with you guys today.
Well, Pastor John, let's jump straight into it, because some people may not be aware, but who is DCC? So if you were to summarize it for me, who is DCC?
Okay, so DCC is really about our founders, Dr. Fred and Nell Roberts, who in 1979, God laid it on their hearts to start a church, and actually a Christian-centered church that would be multiracial, non-denominational, and that was the beginning of the Durban Christian Center.
Right.
He had been given a word by a lady preacher, and the word was that basically there was two visions that Pastor Fred could go, a lesser and a greater vision. And of course they chose the greater vision, which led them back to South Africa, starting the Durban Christian Center. And of course in those days it was the apartheid regime, of course, and we welcomed all the various groups, the various ethnicities, the various cultures, and it was a Christian-centered concept, which meant that even Christians from all sorts of denominations could come and be a part of what God was doing. And in those services, I've often spoken to Pastor Fred about how it all started, but it was basically a sovereign move, Pastor Bande, where about 3 or 4 people used to gather in Pastor Fred's lounge, and they would spend the whole of the Saturday night in the early hours of the morning, get dressed and go to church, and the sort of things that happened in the service, the miracles, it was really a ministry that was marked with signs, wonders, and miracles. And that was basically the beginnings of the Durban Christian Center, and all of that is really in our DNA and what we carry today as well.
And of course, winning the lost at any
Winning
cost.
the lost, of course, that's part of our makeup
in our
as well.
bloodstream.
Yeah.
So many years of ministry and all the work that DCC's been doing, you know, the Jesus Dome as it's known. But in 2016, in June of 2016, actually, the unimaginable happened. And it was all over the news. It was shared wide, you know, the Jesus Dome is on fire. Now, Pastor John, Pastor Joy, this must have been, I want to use the word interesting times for you guys. Walk us through that journey, and how did you guys, you know, as a ministry couple and as an entire team, you know, keep the faith and fight through that process?
Yeah, gosh, Pastor Banda, that's a day on the 7th of June. Actually, it was a Tuesday night. It's a day that I think we will never, ever forget. We got a call at about 5:30 in the afternoon to say that had we heard the dome was on fire. And we rushed down from, I think we live 20, 25 minutes away. I think I made it in about 10 minutes. And I just really couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. Here was this massive building, beautiful building that was engulfed in flames. And we tried our best. We jumped in, went to the back door, tried to get the equipment out. We had people helping us. And I remember looking into one of the doors that looked into the auditorium. And that scene will never, ever, ever leave me. It looked like I was looking at some post-apocalyptic event that had taken place, where everything was messed and mangled, you know, the steel and aluminium, everything was burnt, smoke billowing out from various parts. And that's something that never ever will kind of leave us. And it was, we sort of, lots of people gathered on that night and trying to help in whatever way we can. And then what we did when the fire eventually was put out, we went across the road to the car park, and I think there must have been about 500 people. And we lifted up our hands and we began to worship. And we basically counteracted that adversity by just taking our eyes off the situation, off the problem, and we began to worship. We did, and it was just amazing that there was a spontaneity, a flow that just erupted, and it was just that we had no instruments. I think I had a loudhailer, and we just began to worship. And you know, that's something that is inherent in our church. I never forget when I came to this church and got saved, and there was Sister Nell, who was Joy's mom, Pastor Fred's wife, who was on the platform, and she was leading worship. And I had never heard such music. I'd never heard such melody. I'd never heard people singing, and the spontaneity, the creativity of this worship. So that's what we began to do. And it was out of that we sort of got all the strength. Of course, years and years being under Pastor Fred and Sister Nell, and them being men and women of faith. I mean, they preached faith, they taught faith, you know, they spoke faith, they walked faith. I mean, when they prayed big prayers, they dreamed big dreams. Everything was big with Pastor Fred and Nell. And that kind of, it was imparted to us. But I never forget, when we were driving off the grounds that night, I turned to Pastor Fred and I said to him, "So Dad, where do we go from here?" And he looked at me, and without missing a single beat, he said, "We'll just build again. Just build again. Just a building, just a building. We'll build again." And when he said that, it was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, as devastating as it was, we're just going to build again. It's a simple thing. We're just going to build again, you know. And that's what we did. And I think it's just been the faith that was imparted to us, like when Paul writes to Timothy, you know, and he says that your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now that faith is in you as well. And it literally was that faith. I don't know if you want to say.
Yeah, and we used to always sing, nothing is impossible when you put your trust in God.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an anthem of our church. And after the building burnt down, we coined the phrase, "Out of the ashes we shall arise."
Yeah.
And we just kept saying, out of the ashes we will arise. Out of the ashes we will arise. And, you know, faith speaks.
Faith speaks,
You know,
yeah.
and if you don't speak your faith, you'll never be able to walk in faith. And us as a church, we got together, we prayed, we sang, we said, out of the ashes we shall arise, and we're here today.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really by the grace of God,
grace
and
of
just
God.
standing on His word and saying, God, with you, all things are possible.
But you know, as well, Pastor Bande, it was the people of God,
That's
how
right.
they rallied around us, and especially ministers all over the world, like Dr. Andre.
Yes.
I think he was about to fly out to the States. He was in Johannesburg, and he said, "Pastor John, I've just heard we're here with you. We're praying for you. And it was just all these various ministers that just kind of rallied around
really
us.
Appreciated
it was
and
just amazing. And out of that, we just, were strengthened and encouraged. And then we got calls from pastors. We're going to send you so much money, and we're sending you so much money, and somebody else sending so much money.
Even churches we didn't know.
Churches that we didn't even know. I mean, we knew that they existed, but we didn't even have a relationship with them. It was amazing how unity was forged in this time of adversity. And then also, I remember when we were at the architects, and we were sitting, now we're going to talk about building this building. And so the architect said, so what's your budget? And we looked at each other, and we go, because with Pastor Fred, we never spoke about a budget. We just did things by faith and trusted God for the money.
Because you can't budget God.
Exactly. And so, that just gives you a little bit of insight into the faith that was imparted in us. And here we are today,
Pastor John, Pastor Joy, it's an amazing journey you guys went through, and of course the church coming around and supporting you guys. But from 2016, we fast forward a couple of years, and I've heard you guys say the phrase, out of the ashes you will arise. And out of the ashes, you guys have literally rebuilt. It's been a 1,000-mile journey, one step at a time. Just share this with us, this whole thing now. Okay, so the Jesus Dome is being rebuilt. Everything is coming about. So where are we now? What can we expect out of Durban Christian Center?
We can expect the unexpected. Always expect the unexpected, because with God, all things are possible. As soon as you say, well, you can only expect this and you can only expect that, our God is a God of 1,000 times more.
Yeah.
And so he always has more in store for us. So if we said, well, you can only expect this, we're expecting Durban to be saved, and we're expecting Jesus to be famous.
Yeah, it's basically about glorifying Him.
Right.
Pastor Bunde, when we built this dome, we could have done it sparingly.
Yes,
and
just put up an old
but
barn.
we stepped out in faith, and we said, no, we're a gateway to the city. So this is going to be an iconic building, because the dome before was iconic. This is going to be an iconic building, and we are number one, we're building this dome in DCC, and the way forward is, number one, that God would be glorified.
Right.
And then number two, we decided to build the way we did to honor our founder and his wife, Dr. Fred and Nell Roberts. And thirdly, we built the way that we built because we wanted it to be a church for the people and for the generations that would come. 3, 4 generations down the road is what we have built for. And so basically, we're our heart is to win the lost at any cost, to welcome any individual into our church, and for them to experience the presence of God, the life-changing touch of Jesus Christ. That's our heart. That's our heart.
Well, Pastor John, Pastor Joy, thank you for your time, and it's been so incredible just hearing and you guys to share your hearts about everything that's happened, is taking place. Now, obviously, the Jesus Dome has been rebuilt. It looks incredible. We've seen the pictures. We've seen some of your services already. But you guys are having your grand opening on the 16th of February, 2022. Now, I understand that seating is limited, and you guys obviously are a local church still, and a lot of your local people are going to be coming on board and being a part of that grand reopening. But will this be available online for the rest of the world to be able to be a part of it?
Yes, absolutely, Pastor Banda. Obviously there is limited seating. We are going to have overflow areas as well, but it will be available on all of our social media platforms. And that opening is scheduled for February the 16th, 7 p.m. And then on the Thursday night, we're doing a grand life group celebration, again, open to everybody. And then on the Friday night, it's going to be a Win 2022, and that's going to be with a special guest. Pastor Art Boshoff is going to be with us from CRC. The Wednesday night opening, we'll have Apostle Theo Volmerans with us, and on the Thursday for the life group opening, that's Apostle Alan Bagg. So we're in for 3 days, but it's on that Wednesday, the 16th of February, 7 p.m., where we will officially get to dedicate this building. I mean, we've been in this building for now almost 2 years because of the COVID pandemic and the regulations. We've only, had limited seating, and we were just waiting for an opportunity, and we thought, you know what, we better do it now because I don't know if there's, there's talk of more variants coming. So we're just stepping out in faith and trusting that it's all going to work out. Amen. And, so that God gets all the glory at the end of it.
Well, Pastor John and Pastor Joy, thank you for your time, and we really honor and love each and every one of you guys there at DCC and the incredible work that you guys are doing. And we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedules just to update us and have a conversation about what's happening in Durban.
Thank you so much, Pastor Bande, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to Dr. Andre and Jenny Raybert for the opportunity as well. God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you, guys. Well, that was Pastor John and Pastor Joy Torrance, all the way from the Durban Christian Center, DCC, the Jesus Dome, sharing their hearts about this grand opening and DCC and everything that's going to be taking place. I hope you guys can be a part of it and you can join in this celebration on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of February 2022.
What a testimony. What a couple. What a family of faith. Listen, this is so good to see. The Lord has been so good, and that testimony can encourage you and I concerning the goodness of God. He is not sleeping. He doesn't sleep. He does not slumber, but He will continue to do precisely what He's promised to do. And I want to encourage every single person as you're connecting with us. We have 2 programmers that we want you to look out for this week. Mondays to Fridays at 8 p.m. Central African Time, there is Hour of Salvation with David Ibiyomi, all the way from Nigeria, and it also airs on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Central African Time. And then from all the way across the other side of the equator, we have Jensen Franklin on Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. Central African Time. It is a powerhouse, and you can catch all of this and more on Our Faith Now. Simply go to faithnow.net so you can actually subscribe and make sure you're a part of what's happening in and around the Faith family of networks. But if you want to make sure you stay connected on your handheld device, you can simply go on your iOS or Google Play Store and download the app Faith Now. That's one word, Faith Now, one word, and just stay connected to what the Lord is doing in and around the global family of faith. Now, coming up is a global ministry that is really taking territory all around the world. A21 is making sure it is setting the captives free. And really, human trafficking is such a big reality all over the world. It's not just unique to one country. And here, Bande has a conversation with Cornell to see what is happening with A21 and how can we continue to get involved. Take a look at this.
Well, good day, Faith family. It's awesome to have you guys joining us once again. And I'm having a conversation with Cornell Fulyoon from A21 South Africa. Welcome to Behind the Faith, Cornell.
Thank you so much, Banda and the team. It is a lovely honor to be with you today. And just have those good conversations that we all need to have.
Yeah. So, Cornell, I want to jump straight into it. Maybe we have someone who's new, who's viewing you guys. You guys are a global organization. But for someone who's maybe never heard of you guys, who is A21 and how long have you guys actually existed?
So A21 was established by Christine and Nick Kane in 2008 when she actually, arrived at Thessaloniki Airport in Greece and saw posters of missing people. And she started asking questions. Where are they? What has happened to them? Is no one looking for them? And so the more she started doing research, the more she discovered that human trafficking is our modern day slavery. It is still existing in so many different countries, but not many people are speaking up about it. And so A21 was birthed out of that. And then in 2013, A21 South Africa was established. And so for the past couple of years, we have seen amazing development, of the organization, but also partnerships take place because of the, the vision that Chris and Nick has to really combat human trafficking in various countries.
So, Cornell, you know, you've given me a summary of how it started, but why do you guys do what you do? Just expound on that a bit more.
Yeah, so A21 has a three-plan solution to combating human trafficking. First of all, it's reach. So that's really where we focus on equipping the public, how to identify potential victims. We're equipping frontline professionals as well. So if you're a police officer, social worker, etc., then you can actually identify a potential victim. Then we have rescue, where we have a specific hotline team that actually take calls from the community or from government departments in order to actually report the crime, have an avenue where cases can be logged, and also further cases can be taken forward, and that justice is served as well. So we have our restore team that then will work with the survivors, support them in, you know, when they have to go to court, or you know, how do you integrate them back into the life of society, getting work opportunity, not being tricked again. And so it's really, we want to prevent as many people from becoming victims in the first place. And then secondly, we want to see as many people rescued out of human trafficking as well.
Sure. So, you know, you guys, as you mentioned, you guys have been around for some time, and I don't want to go too wide of a field, but, you know, 2021, 2020, 2021, I always say sometimes it feels like it's one year. But share with us some testimonies, some victories, some stories, and any expansions that you guys had experienced or planning to experience from the past couple of years, like 2020, 2021.
Yeah, so that long year really posed its own challenges, but just to share with everybody, you know, on a global scale, that, you know, we almost had 3.8 million people reached through awareness and prevention resources, programs like Can You See Me, etc. 28 perpetrators were convicted or found guilty. 3,447 frontline professionals were trained to combat human trafficking. So that is identifying at borders or even within their own communities. 182 new survivors entered into A21's care on a global scale, and then 513 victims were identified or processed through referrals, so in partnership with government departments or other anti-trafficking organizations. And so, you know, it was a phenomenal year for us. We almost saw double in impact and change that took place within 2021. And so that is because of everyday people, you know, contributing to the programs or taking action, bringing awareness, having those conversations. But just to share like a local story, as you know, it is honestly been amazing to see the Freedom Center established within South Africa. So Freedom Center is where survivors will come and they can learn various skills. They would, you know, have access to receive counseling, or if they need to have skill training, develop, you know, what is a budget, how do you budget, how do you apply for work, don't get tricked again into false opportunities. And so the Freedom Center is a drop-in center for survivors to come and seek that community and support that they need. And even through that, you know, we've been able to place survivors in their own individual accommodation, and where they're really now becoming more independent from when they've been rescued. And so it's really the aftercare process is that holistic approach, and where we as an organization can provide any services or support to those survivors. And then also repatriation. We saw, you know, 4 survivors being relocated back to their homes with their families, and then 1 international repatriation as well. And so even though COVID took place, even though there were many restrictions across various countries, you know, our work did not stop. Human trafficking doesn't stop because there's a lockdown. It is operated when it's illegal. Why would they stop when COVID has regulations in place? And so it's really just, you know, continuing on with seeing these survivors set free. And the one survivor, she transitioned out of a safe house into an 821 apartment with her baby. And since then, she actually started her own business where she now has an online store, can sell the products, generate an income, and then also create work opportunity for her own community as well, and teaching them these skills, sewing skills, leadership skills, and how to run a business. So it's phenomenal to see the shift and just, them receiving their dignity again, and able to, take life forward, or take life and ownership back from what has been stolen.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh, that's an awesome story, an awesome testimony that you're sharing right there with people, who've come out of this. They've fought, and they've made something of themselves and really stepped out and started to self-sustain. And that's incredible. I want to thank you guys and honor you guys as teams just around the world. I know that you guys have offices all over the world as A21. And I want to honor each and every single one of you, from the smallest village or town office to the largest one around the world. Thank you very much, Azul, for spending time with us today, Cornell.
Thank you so much, Vanda, and My Faith TV family. We really appreciate your support and just the awareness that you are taking to help equip everyday people like us to know more about this.
Thank you very much, Cornell. Well, that's Cornell Viljoen from A21 South Africa.
What an amazing conversation we just had with Cornell Viljoen from the A21 campaign, seeing the work that they do, and blessing and being a blessing to so many out there by not only freeing people, but at the same time then going out and telling people to not only join the campaigns but be a part of what they're doing in this hour.
Come on, just think about all the amazing lives that are being saved and freed through their mandate that God has called them to. And you know what? We have a similar mandate right here, to spread the gospel, to free people from the bondage of sin and slavery. And you know what? You can be a part of that. I love the scripture in Luke 12 verse 31. 32 and 34, this is what it says: but rather seek first the kingdom of God, and all these other things shall be added unto you. And fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Verse 34 says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This is the thing, when we are seeking the kingdom of God first, we are not seeking it for the motivation to get things. No, we're seeking it because we want to see people's lives radically saved, radically changed, radically transformed. And you know what the result is? The result is blessing, it's provision, it's protection, it's prosperity. And you can be a part of this. Just like so many women are getting free every single day by this awesome initiative, we can see people free and their lives completely changed and altered by the seeds we sow in spreading this gospel throughout all the earth.
Come on, in spreading this gospel throughout all the earth. So get a hold of us, partner at myfaithtv.com. Contact us, how you can be a part of what God is doing right here. And I mean, every single one of you, all of our faithful partners that have been, as you can see behind us right here, our faithful partners that have been a part, and there's so many more that have been a part of this, a part of Faith TV, faith ambassadors all around the nations of the world that have been sowing faithfully. We want to thank you. Thank you for the seeds that you're sowing. You're truly impacting this generation with the gospel and the message of Jesus Christ. And talking about the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ are the Sunday specials. I mean, and not just Sunday specials, but all the specials that we have on the network, all the programs just for you and your family.
Yes, don't forget, we have Faith today, Monday to Thursday from 6 p.m. Central African time. You do not want to miss these times in the presence of God with the powerful word of God going out just to encourage you, just to enlarge your faith. And then obviously Friday nights, 6 p.m. we have the NXT live, and we are so excited to be with you in your homes, wherever you are catching us live from. And then finally, we have Sundays, Faith Worship, 9 a.m. Central African time, and we love to fellowship with you.
Well, there you have it. We love to fellowship with you, and I mean, you've got all of those awesome programs available for you right here on your favorite channel. So, I mean, if you're one of those partners or one of our family all around the world that doesn't switch your Faith TV, head on over to our Facebook page. Tell us and send us a picture. In fact, send us a picture of your TV being on, or a young video clip, a time lapse of the entire week of your TV stuck on your favorite channel, DSTV channel 341, or any other platform where you'll be watching Faith TV around the nations of the world. But on behalf of Pastors Andre and Jenny Ray, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you same time, same place next week. God bless you. Goodbye.